When I saw this set was coming soon on Lego.com, I knew I had to have it. For one, it's a botanical, and I have every botanical except for one, but it's also beautiful, and I've never seen this before, but you can actually customize this very easily. Let's get into it. Scale 7 out of 10. It's not complicated, but it's definitely a little bit more challenging than a typical bouquet. You really have to pay attention to where you're putting the flowers in the vase, hence higher score. Aesthetics 10 out of 10. This set looks incredible. My metric for this is always kind of my husband because he's not easy to impress, and I've done every Lego bouquet, and this is the only one he's asked me to put in the bedroom because he wants to see it. Durability, 7 out of 10. Look, I mean, it does pretty well with normal handling, but I definitely keep this one away from kids and cats. Value, 6 out of 10. The price per brick on this is 9 cents. Usually it ranges between 6, which is great, and 12, which is terrible. Hence the middle score. Time, 9 out of 10. My total film time is 2.5 hours. I'm estimating about 15 minutes of that was looking for the missing piece and then also getting all the cameras running at the same time. So probably about 2 hours, 15 minutes. Great for the amount of pieces. Overall, S tier. I would say this is actually a top tier set. I'm ignoring the price per brick on this one because its ability to work with other sets kind of bumps up the score a lot. Bags 1 and 2 are building the vase for the floral arrangement. It's so important in this part that you really pay attention to the placement of the bricks, especially in bag 2 where we are placing all of the attachments for the flowers we are going to add. The white vase is a pedestal type, which I believe is a good choice because it is very versatile style-wise. Not only will it allow for any of the Lego flower sets to look great in the vase, but it should match most people's home decor should someone choose to leave the set out in a prominent place. And you saw how this set looks when it's done. Why would you not leave that sitting out? I'm pretty sure I saw videos from Lego showing different ways to customize it. I'm definitely going to play with it. I kind of want to see what a pure rose arrangement would look like, so subscribe because at minimum I'll make a short about it. I did speed up the footage here because it's a tad boring, but if you're confused, there's a great picture of how it should look at the end of the bag 2 instructions. Our first flower is the Night Rider Camelia. It originates in the UK and it grows on a shrub that can be 5 feet tall, which sounds absolutely stunning. It's a bit fragile, so be careful when you place it in the vase to push more on the stem. This Lego build is incredibly accurate to the flower. The build on this is quite fun and I really enjoyed the pistils. I also really love the color, and I have to question why this flower did not appear in the pretty pink bouquet because it definitely is pretty and pink, and there wasn't enough pink in that set. I also found it to be very beginner friendly and a great build to start off with. I also love the way this flower's colors play off of the ones in the later bags. I'm gonna forewarn you, I made a mistake here. A massive one, but we'll get to that in a second. The Itoh Peony is probably my favorite of the flowers. This one gets a ton of dimension to it with Lego pieces we rarely see, even in botanicals. These peonies were cultivated in Japan and are a perfect addition to this set. No. Come on, this can't happen twice. Ignore all of this. I went all the way to the Lego store. The wonderful employees found it for me. I brought it home just to discover I had the piece all along. I have to return that piece. The last set I did, I was legitimately missing a piece. When I was doing the Diagon Alley, I was missing one window piece, which halted my build. I had to go in and substitute the navy blue window piece with a Lego blue window piece. I know for a fact that one was missing. This one, not so much. No. I had the piece. So I'm super embarrassed because I totally called my mom on the way and was complaining about it. In fairness, when I couldn't find it, I asked my husband and he couldn't find it either. When I looked back at the footage, I never saw it until I moved that piece. Bag 5 and 6 are combined. This is probably the most repetitive part of the build, but you can kind of just tell from the way the flower looks. I will say it looks beautiful and surprisingly does not hurt your fingers with all the small pieces, so I will say this part is actually worth it. I feel like that's kind of a hot take for me. If you've watched my other videos, you know I hate repetitive parts of sets. This one is a hydrangea, and honestly, I didn't know what it was before looking at the book, but now that I know, I can totally see it. I used to have a hydrangea plant, but they're kind of hard to keep in the dryness of the Vegas desert, and I went out of town while it was still pretty new, so unfortunately, it didn't make it. But I really love hydrangeas, and I think these are a great representation of that flower. Even if you didn't know what the flower is supposed to be, the purple butterflies are a really cute piece, and the purple plays really well with the yellow of of the Peony and the pink of the Camelia. This definitely is an easier part of the build, and it was more enjoyable than I thought it would be. In this part of the build, we're gonna put in what some florists like to call filler. Filler sounds really bad because usually the term is not used as a good thing in most contexts, but for floral arrangements, I think it's kind of necessary. Filler is essentially just the pieces of little greenery or tiny flowers that usually can't stand super well on their own to make a bouquet. Baby's breath is probably the easiest and most common example of filler. In this arrangement, we are using baby's breath and some sort of small twig with leaves. I say this because we don't actually get it identified in the book, but they look similar to either a salal leaf or ruscus branch. Filler isn't technically necessary for a bouquet, but it definitely is needed to elevate arrangements and bouquets. It can create different dimensions to the shape of the arrangement and also make the bigger and more beautiful flowers look more cohesive. In this bag, we are putting together a Persian Buttercup. This is actually not the first time we've seen a Persian Buttercup in a Lego set. It was actually in the one that released last month, the Pretty Pink Bouquet. The builds are actually different between the two sets, which is kind of interesting. In early Lego Roses, we saw a few different builds before setting on a general style. Also, because we are seeing this flower in both recent Lego releases, there is a chance that this will be a build that we will see repeated again. I will say between the two, I actually prefer the aesthetics and build of the other Persian Buttercup. I also feel the other build was a bit more accurate to the look of the Persian Buttercup because they have a ton of petals and this doesn't really show it. Next up is the Hummingbird Flower. This flower actually has a few names like Firecracker Bush and Trumpetalia. I think all the names are fitting, however, I'm going with Hummingbird Flower for this one because that's what the book calls it. The build was slightly more enjoyable than you would think, especially since it got a lot of small pieces, but I like it. If I had one critique, I would say I wish there was another 3 flowers on the stem since hummingbird flowers are usually very clustered. But overall, it looks pretty close to the actual flower and is pretty enjoyable. There was also these weird purple pieces that were kind of hard to place, but you have to make sure that the dot underneath is fastened tight to the rest of the build. Last, we have the lily flower. There's a lot of variations out there, so they really got to choose their color scheme around what the arrangement needed instead of changing the color of another flower to make it fit the set. Also, since most of the other flowers have rounded and oval shaped petals, this makes the set look a lot more dynamic. Like the other flowers, this one is really gentle on your fingers and doesn't have too many small pieces so your fingers won't hurt. I also loved how this flower had an obvious top and bottom. It really rounds out the set nicely and was the perfect ending to a perfect set. I feel like I've been rating a lot of things S tier, but honestly, it's just because Lego's been coming out with a lot of really cool sets. I think the ability of this to work with other sets is super unique, and it's something I've never seen in the 4 years I've been a big fan of Lego. I'm so happy with what's been coming out of Lego, and if you are on the Lego design team, first of all, I don't know why you're here, but thank you. But keep it up because this has been incredible, and I really appreciate all the work you've been doing. Now, for the rest of you guys, I just want to say thank you so much for choosing to watch my video out of all the videos on YouTube. I am a fairly small channel, so it means a lot to me. I know, like, I'm lucky if a video hits 1,000 views, so it really means the world to me when you guys like and comment and subscribe. Really quickly, because it just hit halfway to monetization a few days ago, I want to say a few quick little thank yous. To my husband, thank you so much for everything you have done to help me get this channel going. It seriously is a dream of mine, so thank you. Mom and dad and my brother and sister, I know you guys watch every single video, so thank you so much. Roman and Shay, I know you guys watch every video too. What the heck? I appreciate you guys so much though. The Shape of Soup, you comment on every video. I love that. Mikey Serrano, you also comment on every video, and I'm sure I'm missing other people, but I just want to say thank you guys so much because seriously, I hit the 2,000 watch hours. I need 4,000. I was like, oh my god, the other day. So I'm super stoked. Thank you guys so much for the support, and thank you. If I didn't list you, comment down below because I'd love to know who's watching my videos, and I will see you next time.